The sunlight fell across the cracked veranda tiles just as Mara Velen felt her life collapsing beneath her feet. A suitcase thudded beside her. The door slammed behind her. And the man she had once called her husband, Ralph, didn't even look back. He muttered that a woman who couldn't give him a child had no place in his home, then walked away as though she were a stranger he'd never promised forever to. In that single moment, with dust rising around her and neighbors peeking through half-drawn curtains, Mara realized she had hit the lowest point of her life. Her hands trembled. Her heart felt like it had been torn straight down the middle. But even then, she had no idea that her greatest heartbreak was about to lead her into the path of someone who would rewrite everything she thought she deserved. Before we go deeper, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of human resilience, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to RW Insights. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts. Mara walked aimlessly down the dusty street, clutching her thin dupatta around her shoulders as if it could protect her from the shame burning in her chest. She had married young, hopeful, and deeply in love. For years, she had endured hospital tests, silent dinners, judgmental in-laws, and a husband whose patience withered every month her womb remained empty. She had blamed herself, even when doctors insisted the issue was not hers alone. But patriarchy seldom listens to medical reports. And Ralph had chosen pride over partnership. By mid-afternoon, the sun glared fiercely. Mara found herself outside a small community center where she had once volunteered. Her legs gave way, and she sank to the steps. Tears welled up again, silently streaming as she stared into a future she could no longer recognize. She feared going back to her parents' home, feared the gossip, feared the shame. She had nowhere to go and no one to call. That was when a little boy, no older than 5, ran toward her. He stopped inches away, wide-eyed and innocent, holding a toy airplane missing one wing. "Auntie, are you hurt?" he asked softly. His kindness cracked something open inside her. Before she could respond, a tall man in a charcoal suit approached briskly, slightly out of breath. His presence radiated quiet authority, but his eyes held warmth. "Aaron," he sighed in relief, "I told you not to run too far." The boy looked up at him, then pointed at Mara. "She's sad." The man, later she would learn his name was Kalen Rohn, knelt beside his son and then lifted his gaze toward her. Something shifted in his expression, as though he could read the pain written across her face. "Is everything all right?" he asked, his voice gentle but steady. Mara nodded instinctively, out of habit, out of fear, out of years spent shrinking herself. But Kalen did not look convinced. He placed a hand over his son's shoulder. "We were on our way to the community center. If you need water, or just a place to sit inside, please don't hesitate." The kindness was unexpected. Disorienting. Dangerous in the way hope can feel dangerous to a broken heart. Still, she followed them inside, grateful for the shade. The next minutes blurred together, the cool water bottle in her hands, the concerned glances exchanged between father and son, the way little Aaron offered her his broken plane just to make her smile. She hadn't smiled in months. Kalen, it turned out, was a well-known CEO in the city. A single father. His wife had died 3 years earlier, leaving him to raise Aaron alone. Despite his corporate stature, he spoke softly, listened carefully, noticed details others overlooked. And he noticed, unmistakably, that Mara had no one. When she finally told him the truth, that her husband had thrown her out for being infertile, Kalen's jaw tightened with quiet anger on her behalf. "Infertility is not a stain," he said firmly. "It doesn't define you. And it never gives someone the right to abandon you." Something about his conviction, his certainty, made her chest ache again, but this time not from pain. Days passed. Mara found temporary work at the community center, helping organize children's classes. She tried to rebuild herself, piece by fragile piece. Kalen and Aaron visited often. Sometimes it was for work reasons, sometimes it wasn't. Aaron had grown attached to her, and she to him. His laughter became a balm she didn't realize she needed. And Kaylin, well, every conversation felt like a quiet anchor pulling her back toward the surface of her own life. But the world rarely lets a woman heal without interruption. One afternoon, Ralph appeared outside the center with his mother. They accused her of spreading rumors, told her she had embarrassed them simply by existing. They wanted her to sign documents saying she had left voluntarily so they wouldn't be blamed in front of their community. Mara felt her throat close. The old fear rushed back. She didn't know how to stand up to them. But someone else did. Kaylin stepped forward from behind the doorway, his presence unmistakable. He positioned himself beside Mara, not in front, but beside, shoulder to shoulder. "She owes you nothing," he said icily. "Not her pain. Not her dignity. Not even her silence." Ralph sputtered, taken aback. His mother hissed under her breath. But the authority in Kaylin's voice silenced them both. Ralph grumbled something, but eventually they left, defeated by their own cruelty and by Mara's unexpected protector. When they were gone, Mara felt her knees weaken. Kaylin steadied her gently. And it was then, at that vulnerable moment, that he looked at her with an expression she had only ever seen in movies, serious, unwavering, and profoundly kind. He said quietly, "Mara, come with me." Her heart thudded. Not because it was romantic, not yet, but because those words carried a meaning no one had ever offered her before. A promise of safety. A promise of belonging. A promise that her life did not end where someone else's cruelty began. She moved into a small guest house on Kaylin's property, helping with Aaron's care when needed and continuing her work at the center. Over weeks, she slowly rediscovered her worth. Her laughter returned, hesitant at first, then warm, then effortless. Aaron adored her. And Kaylin, he watched her, not with expectation, but with admiration. One golden afternoon, while Aaron napped and the breeze stirred through the garden, Kaylin finally spoke what had simmered unspoken for weeks. He told her she was strong. Resilient. That she had brought light back into a house darkened by loss. And that fertility had nothing to do with motherhood or with love. Tears filled her eyes as he said he wanted her in their lives, not to replace anyone, not to heal anyone, but because she had become family in the most natural way. And for the first time in years, Mara allowed herself to believe she deserved that. If this story touched your heart even a little, please support RW Insights by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Your engagement keeps these emotional stories alive. Before we close, here's a special request: comment below with one positive thing you wish for someone who's struggling today.